Have you ever needed to set a boundary with your partner and stopped yourself because the relationship felt too important to risk? You wanted to tell them that you needed some time alone tonight, that the comment they made yesterday really hurt, or that you can't be their only source of emotional support. But your mind instantly warned you that they'll feel rejected, they'll pull away, maybe you're being too sensitive. It isn't worth the fight. You think protecting the relationship means protecting their comfort, but it doesn't. Avoiding the boundary doesn't save the relationship. It only postpones the conversation while resentment quietly builds in the background. And the most important truth is that while you chose the relationship, you didn't choose the version where you have no needs and no limits. That version was never part of the agreement. In today's episode of the City Last Perspective, we're going to discuss why chosen relationships make boundaries feel more dangerous and the difference between asking for space and pulling away. I'll offer a script for bringing up hard topics without it feeling like an attack, and we'll explore how to tell whether the relationship can hold a boundary and why that's a question that you might be avoiding. Family boundaries are hard because you didn't choose the relationship, but partner boundaries may be harder because you did, and saying no can feel like questioning your own judgment. This notion presents us with the first trap, the sunk cost fallacy. You chose this person, so you need to make it work. We analyze a relationship not for what it provides us today, but based on how much we've invested in the past. And the idea of cutting bait, having invested all that time, energy, and emotion, can feel pretty overwhelming. Now, there's also the reality that we chose to remain in this relationship because it's a good relationship. As much as we've invested in this person, so too have they invested in us. And this presents the second trap, reciprocity guilt. They've done so much for me that setting new boundaries feels selfish, unappreciative. And Lord knows that selflessness is a value we should all strive for. And then we start to ask ourselves, if this person doesn't care for me in the way I think I deserve to be cared for, what does that say about me? And so the third trap presents itself, the fear that we are unlovable or undeserving. The disparity between what we think we deserve from the relationship and what this person is willing to give us tells us something. After all, the value of anything is dictated by what someone is willing to pay for it. And falling into these traps can lead to what we refer to as accommodation spirals. We over accommodate and lower our expectations. The other person adjusts to the new normal. Our resentment builds quietly, and one day it explodes, and our partner is blindsided. And because the explosion alarms us or is met with aggression or detachment from our partner, we feel guilty and undermine the boundary that we just looked to set. Now, that explosion is sometimes loud and aggressive, but sometimes it takes the form of disconnection. Unfortunately, a lot of people confuse boundaries with emotional withdrawal and then avoid both. Pulling away is silent. It doesn't explain, it just removes you from the situation without giving the other person a chance to adjust. A boundary is the opposite. It tells someone where you are and what you can participate in. Pulling away is going quiet for days without explanation. A boundary is telling someone that you need an evening to yourself, but you'll be present tomorrow. Pulling away is saying, I'm fine while fuming. A boundary is telling them that you're hurt or upset with how they acted. Pulling away is withholding affection as punishment. A boundary is confronting someone so that you can feel secure in being affectionate. See, distance is what happens when you've already given up. A boundary is what you offer while you're still invested. Most people delay boundary conversations because they don't know how to start them without it sounding like an accusation. So I want to offer a simple script based on the one we went over in last week's video, but adapt it a little bit to a partner relationship. Care, context, limit, and invitation. Part one is care. This is the positive anchor point for the boundary. I love you and I want to be close to you. This is not asking for permission to set a boundary. It's signaling intent. You're not looking to attack your partner. You're looking to protect the relationship. Part two is context. This is an observation, not an accusation. Lately I've been feeling overwhelmed and I haven't said anything. Or perhaps, I realize I keep saying yes to things I don't have capacity for. No blame, just data. Part three is the limit, the boundary itself. I can't be the person you process every word conflict with, or I need us to talk about big decisions before they're made, not after. And finally, part four is the invitation. You're keeping the door open. I'm telling you this because I want us to stay close, not because I'm pulling away. So the full script might sound something like this. I love you and I don't want distance between us. Lately, I've been feeling exhausted and I've realized I haven't had a single evening to myself in weeks. I need to take Thursday just for me to recharge so I can actually show up fully. How does that land? I want to make sure you don't feel rejected. The goal in all this is not to make a speech and walk away. The goal is to open a conversation that makes the relationship more honest, not less connected. Now, not every relationship responds well to boundaries, and the response you receive is information. Now, here are 4 common pushback patterns that you might encounter. Pattern 1 is guilt tripping, being told that you're being selfish or that you're making your love conditional. Pattern 2 is scorekeeping. They recount everything they've done for you as if to say that the boundary you're asking for is one too many. Pattern 3 is the ultimatum, the threat that your boundary spells the end of the relationship. And pattern 4, temporary compliance and then resentment. They agree in the moment and then punish you later, being cold, withdrawing, or bringing it up in an unrelated argument. Now, when you think about a boundary you need to set, the question is not, will this boundary upset them? The question is, what will their response tell me? Can this relationship hold 2 people's needs at once? And if the answer is no, that's not failure, that's clarity. This clarity can hold some of the most uncomfortable truths. The reality is that setting boundaries may not lead to a healthier relationship. Instead, it might reveal that the relationship only worked because one person had no limits. There's a few common signs that a relationship might not be able to hold boundaries. For instance, every boundary is treated as a personal attack. You're punished after every honest conversation. Your needs are reframed as proof that you don't care. The relationship requires constant emotional management from you, or you're told you've changed and it's clearly not meant as a compliment. All this may lead us to the realization that the healthiest thing to do is to end the relationship. Now, this decision will come with a grieving process because walking away from a relationship you chose, even when it's the right decision, is genuinely painful. You're not just losing the person, you're losing the version of the relationship that you hoped it could become. Here's a small exercise. Think about your partner relationship and ask yourself, where have I been accommodating about something I actually resent? What specific limit would make this relationship feel more honest? What's the smallest version of that boundary I could communicate this week? And then draft one sentence using the care, context, limit, and invitation structure, and practice saying it out loud. Now, as you do, remind yourself that you are not being difficult for having needs. You are not ungrateful for having limits. The right relationships don't just survive your honesty, they deepen because of it. And if a relationship can't hold your boundaries, it was never holding you. It was holding a version of you that didn't need anything. And that version was always going to run out eventually. If setting boundaries causes conflict and disconnect, the boundary wasn't the problem. The boundary was the truth. And the truth doesn't destroy the right relationship. It finally lets it begin. The right people want the real you. Thanks for watching. I'm Chris Nackers, and I'll see you next time here on the Sea Glass Perspective.